One of the things that I've noticed as I've traveled on the mystic path is that the majority of mystics in this world, the majority of people who are able to access and realize higher realms, higher parts of themselves, who are able to receive intuition, see apparitions of higher realms and higher beings, see auras, become more aware of their surroundings besides just the physical. These people are children. The majority of mystics in the world are children. That says a lot. And I believe the reason why the majority of mystics in the world are children is because they have come into this world still very much open to their higher selves. When we come into this world, our conscious mind is the part of us that's aware of our surroundings. Our conscious mind is the part of us that processes our experiences. But remember, that is only the tip of the iceberg. Who we are is the entirety of the iceberg, and most of that lies underneath the ocean surface. And we are not even aware of it. Children come into this world and they're more aware of it. So you need to remember who you were as a child. Okay, there's a reason why so many mystics have told you, in order to inherit the kingdom of heaven, in order to be enlightened, you need to be open and like a child. Read the Tao Te Ching, read the New Testament. This is what the ancient masters were trying to tell people. It's a state of openness, non-judgmentalness. It's an openness that allows the rest of you to come into the physical realm so that you can be aware of the entirety of who you are. The rest of you, as a child, is a little bit afraid to make itself known to you. You've lost its trust. You've lost trust in it and placed judgments on that child's self, on that part of you that is connected with all that is. And you've closed those doors. And I remember that child self of me. I remember I had a step-grandfather. He was not my real grandfather, but I called him Grandpa. And here I am at the age of 4 and 5, and he would never have hurt me, but because of his demeanor and some of the things he would say to me, I was always afraid of him. And I did not want to come and sit on his lap. I didn't trust him, because I didn't feel that he loved me. Your inner child, in order for your inner child to open up this higher part of you that you need to return to, in order for that inner child to want to open the doors that you have closed, you're going to have to reassure it that you love it, that you're not going to judge it, that it's okay. And there's a practice that I do every day that helps this to unfold. Without that unfolding, without that trust between your higher self and you, without you taking the time to open the doors you have closed, that inner child, that higher self, you will not become aware of it, because it hangs back. It wants the doors to stay closed because it doesn't trust you. It doesn't want to be judged. It doesn't want to be hurt. So, in the morning I'll take my coffee and I'll think about who I was as a child. I'll remember the boy that I was. That boy who just loved everybody, who trusted, who was always curious, inquisitive, who was very smart. I'm not bragging, but I was a very intelligent little boy, and who just loved the world freely. And I remember how special he was. And I also remember all the times as a child that I pushed myself away from him as I grew up. I was angry at him because maybe he didn't live up to some of the expectations I had placed on him. Maybe he let me down because he struck out in a baseball game and I was angry at him. Maybe he didn't make the grade that I had wanted him to on a test, or maybe somebody didn't like him, and so I judged him, and I judged him as less. And the more I did that, the more I closed those doors and cut myself off from my higher self. I sit down in the morning and I see that little boy. And I actually see him. And I'll ask him, I'll say, come here, I love you. Sit on my lap. I'll hold myself as that child. I'll tell him that I love him. I'll tell him no matter what he does, I will always love him. I'll never think less of him. I'll tell him through my feelings of how important he is to me and how I want him in my life. And the more you do this, the more you are opening those doors to your higher self. You have closed so many doors in your life. I had closed so many doors in my life. That's why, again, the masters say the very first thing is to become like a child, you need to throw out judgment. Because all the judgments you have been placing on yourself has been closing the doors to the higher parts of who you are. Funny thing, sometimes I'll sit in the morning like this and drink my coffee and listen to the birds and all of a sudden I will become aware of a presence standing next to me. A slightly timid presence. Not someone who just jumps on me and pounces on me, but someone who just loves me but is standing off and waiting for me to talk to it. And believe it or not, it's an aspect of myself. It's that child that I was coming up to me ever so quietly and waiting for me to acknowledge it and to invite it to sit down so that I can hold it. I've seen that child, very real. It's a part of myself. And it knows now that I love it. I tell it I'm sorry for all the times I judged it. I apologize sincerely for all the times I have placed judgment or thought that it was less than what it was. And I've opened the doors. And as you open those doors, the rest of you will desire to connect with you. It's no longer afraid. Anyways, that's a practice I would like you to do every day at good times in the morning. Just take at least 4 to 5 minutes. See yourself as a child. See who you were and who you came into this world as, because that is the closest part of your conscious self that was connected with the entirety of who you are. Go back to that self that you have judged and that you have thought less of, and tell it you're sorry and really mean it, and see it. See that child you were. Hold it. Hold it as if it is a real child right there on your lap. Pull it close. Give it a hug. Talk to it. And tell it you love it. Say, I love you. And really mean it. And you'll feel your inner child. And there will be a warmth and an opening within your heart. Within your heart chakra. Which connects you to the rest of who you are beyond the physical dimension. And you will become aware of the entirety of who you are because those doors will be opened.